All right. Well, for anybody that is not hungry and not eating lunch, and all the folks back home that are watching through the broadcast, we're going to be conducting some interviews of all the gold sponsors of DeFi Security Summit. So here first, I'm going to be interviewing Justin. My name is Isaiah Washington from Coin Fund, and I'm blessed to be the interviewer today. So Justin, maybe you can start off by introducing yourself, your firm, what you guys do at Trail of Bits.
Yeah, sure, thanks. Okay, so my name is Jocelyn Feist. I'm the engineering director of the blockchain team at Trade of Bits. If you don't know us, we are a security company where we specialize in high-end security technology. We have expertise in blockchain, cryptography, AppSec, cloud-native application, and so on. One thing that I think differs us from other companies is that we spend a lot of time trying to push the state of the art and the research, and we build a lot of tools as a result, and all our tools are open source.
Great, awesome. Fantastic rundown of what TrailBits does. Thank you for that. And second question, just to start off, what is so special about DeFi Security Summit? What made you guys, decide to be a gold sponsor and back the steering committee putting together today's activities?
Yeah, it's a good question. So we believe that this is a good place to share and learn about the update on the DeFi space, on the security space. There are not a lot of places where you can do that, and this is one of the good ones. So we are happy to sponsor it and to help as much as we can.
Awesome. And were you guys also sponsors last year to the inaugural?
I believe so.
Awesome. Awesome. Great, and maybe we can just dig a little bit deeper into Trail of Bits. What tools does Trail of Bits offer that increase code security? How exactly does it work, and where in the auditing process would one use Trail of Bits' tools?
That's a great question. So I think our main kind of tools are Slither and Echidna. So Slither is a static analyzer. It's going to look for common pattern in smart contract, common vulnerability. It has a track record of vulnerability found in a lot of protocols. For example, there was recently an independent academic study that demonstrated that if people were using Slither, they could have prevented something like 115 million of loss, which is a lot, and demonstrate that it's an effective tool. The second primary tool that we are developing and using is called Echidna. It's a smart contract further, so we are using it to kind of check invariant on smart contract and find logic bug. It's a really powerful tool to go deeper and check more complex vulnerabilities.
Very cool. And is it protocol developers that are more so using your tools, or is it auditors that are using your tools, on behalf of protocols that they're, or smart contracts that they're auditing? Maybe you could tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's actually both. So for example, something like Slither, we have GitHub Action for developer where they can just connect, like their CI/CD to Slither GitHub Action and just having it on every pull request. But we're also using it during audit. Like on the first day, we just run Slither, check for common bugs. Hopefully, our client already ran it before, so there is nothing we have to catch with it. But yeah, it can happen. For Echidna, it's also both. Like we have some of our clients that are more mature in the space and have developed invariant and are using Echidna. But we're also using it during our security review, and we're also helping developers to develop their own invariant and using it in the long term.
Got it. So heard it here, everybody back home, whether you're a protocol dev or an auditor, looking to help protocols and projects building, you can use the tools at Trail of Bits. And maybe, with our last few minutes here, you can talk just about the importance of tooling that aids the auditing process and aids the protocol development process. When is it best to implement these strategies in the life cycle of developing a project?
Sure. So for something like Slither, you should just run it on every pull request because it's going to answer and give you a result in like a few seconds, so it's kind of low effort. For something like Echidna, it's really about kind of learning how to develop invariant and how to do that. I do believe there is kind of a need in the space to shift like the paradigm of development toward being more invariant focused and developing invariant from the beginning. This is really like a powerful mindset to have. We have seen developer writing invariant even in plain English and then using Echidna to check them, and the team that are doing that are always like in situations where they have a better security posture and better maturity just because they think about invariant. So I do believe that in the future, kind of getting into this invariant-based development paradigm of development is a powerful tool, and hoping to see more and more people adopting it.
Absolutely. No, thank you so much. And kind of taking a step back here, to talk a little bit about, your view on the space, what's important. What do you think will be the most important DeFi security developments, adaptations over the next year?
Yeah, so the first thing is the one we kind of already touched on, and it's to have like this invariant-based development, because you can test it with tool, but you can also add some of the invariants that you develop on-chain directly in your Solidity smart contract to have additional safeguard and capabilities. There is also an overall maturity that needs to be developed in the space in a lot of different components, how you develop your arithmetic, how you develop your access control, how you test, how you do like your documentation. And something we actually released yesterday is our code maturity guideline that gives kind of some insight onto how to do that. And those are guidelines that we have developed over the year based on all the discussion we have with the developer and all the kind of vulnerability we have seen and how to kind of fix them at their root cause and not to have them, like in the long term.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Well, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. I think we're going to transition to the next. And if anybody would like to talk to Justin, I think he'll stick around.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next, I believe we have Mehdi from Sigma Prime joining me on the stage. How's it going, sir?
Good, thanks. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Fantastic.
Hey, everyone.
All right. So moving along, maybe we can just start off with a couple words from you, introduction, on yourself, your firm, what you guys do, what you do there.
Happy to. My name is Mehdi, co-founder and director of Sigma Prime. We are a blockchain security firm who's been around for quite some time now, about 7-8 years. We provide security assessments for our clients, not security audits, security assessments or security reviews. I'll die on this hill any day. Yeah, we're very comfortable diving deeper into the stack. So we obviously do a lot of smart contract security assessments, EVM, non-EVM, but we're able to dive deeper and help future L1s, L2s, cross-chain systems to hopefully ship better, more secure software. So we do a lot of code reviews on Rust, Go, sometimes exotic languages as well. And we're also quite well known for our fuzzing capability. That's half of what we do. That's the half that I look after. And the other half is the development and maintenance of Lighthouse. Lighthouse being the Rust implementation of the Ethereum consensus layer. It's currently responsible for, I believe, just over 35% of the user market share. It's a big responsibility. It's open source, free, and it will remain free and open source. You have the commitment of the founding team. We will not monetize Lighthouse. We rely on grants from the Ethereum Foundation, but also a bunch of players in the space. And extremely proud of the great work that team has been accomplishing over the past few years.
I would love to dig into a couple of things that you touched on there. But first, you made a point to express and emphasize not audits, reviews. Can you dig a little bit deeper into that? What is the difference?
Sure. So, okay, if you audit something, you usually audit it against a standard, right? So I think, ISO 9001, quality management, ISO 2701, information security management. You have a set of standards, right? A set of, like a checklist, effectively, and you verify that whatever system you're trying to audit is complying against these guidelines. We, in this space, in the Web3 security space, we do not have those public standards yet. There might be some initiatives running that will bring that to the table at some point. But as of today, I believe that calling them audits is, not really the right way to describe those assessments. They are time-boxed assessments, right? The more time you give me, the more time I'm likely to find bugs. I tend to, I hope that everyone in my team refers to them as security reviews, security assessments, but it's like back in the year 2000s when everyone started calling everything cybersecurity instead of information security. That battle has been lost, and I think I've lost the battle with auditing now.
Got it. That's super interesting and really interesting perspective. Another thing you mentioned is that Lighthouse is going to remain open source. What's the importance of open source security tooling in the space?
So Lighthouse being a critical piece of the Ethereum ecosystem right now, it's extremely important to know that it'll remain free. It'll remain open source, despite the various attempts at potentially capturing the consensus layer. And we've seen some of them over the past year or so, and we expect to keep seeing attempts at capturing the consensus layer. And by capturing, I mean corporations, massive organizations trying to have a say in how the consensus layer should work on Ethereum. We're a grassroots team. We've been involved with the Ethereum Foundation and the research space for over 5 years now, and we do really have Ethereum's best interest at heart. And whatever happens with Sigma Prime, Lighthouse as a client will remain free and open source. And I think it's extremely important to be able to give that sort of assurance to the community.
That's awesome. Good work.
Thank you.
So, back to my list of questions. I went on a little tangent there, sorry. What made you guys sponsor DeFi Security Summit?
Great question. I attended last year's in Stanford, and I remember being blown away by the quality of the talks and just the conversations that I was having with everyone. It reminded me of what the Ethereum security community looked like in 2018. Back in 2018, we all gathered in Berlin. It was like 60 of us. Just kind of figuring things out. Oh, you like, Solidity smart contract security? Me too. And back then it was like very few of us. So it really had that same vibe, grassroots community. We're here to learn. We're here to teach. And I remember after the last talk, walking up to Mooley and be like, Mooley, whatever you need next year, we'll be here. So it was very natural for us to be a sponsor of this great initiative. And I'm really hoping that we'll see a lot more of this in the coming years. I'm excited about the virtual, monthly virtual meetups, which should be good. But yeah, we need more of these. The DeFi security space is crazy. So being able to get together at least once a year and share our insights and knowledge is incredibly valuable.
That's great. Yeah, I thank you. We all thank you, and all of our gold sponsors as well for that sentiment. Digging a little bit deeper into your thoughts about the space, perspective from Sigma Prime. What is the perfect audit or assessment engagement, review engagement? What does it look like?
So perfect for me or perfect for my clients? Because perfect for me is a report full of criticals and full of high severity bugs. That's probably not,
Let's say perfect from the client's perspective.
Well, okay, so you want to conduct as much internal testing before you engage an external auditor. And I don't think we communicate this enough. This is, I think, in my opinion, very critical. So ideally, a successful security review from a client equals to a report that has, very low severity bugs, no criticals, no high severity findings. The auditing team has been, able to navigate the code base very easily. There's a lot of documentation, a lot of comments in the code base, diagram, user flows, etc. All of this helps us understand your code better. And as I said, these exercises are time boxed. So if you make us spend our time understanding your system, you're effectively throwing some of your money out of the window, right? Because you could just be explaining, taking a day or two, your developers, asking them to document the hell out of your code base. And it'll make a huge difference. So a successful, derailing a bit, but a successful engagement for a client of ours is an engagement where there's no surprises, right? There's been a lot of thorough internal due diligence applied already. And our report doesn't really surface anything that anything critical that they weren't aware of. These don't necessarily happen too often.
Unfortunately, but hopefully more of those in the future as the space evolves and matures. I think that's our time. as Uri is indicating to me over on the side. But thank you so much, Mehdi, for joining.
Thanks for having me.
This has been great.
Thank you. Cheers.
All right, I think we have another coming up. I'm not sure exactly which it is, but we'll get an introduction momentarily.
Hey.
Hello? From Lido, I can
Works.
see from the shirt.
Hey, very excited to be here.
Excited to have you here with me on stage. We're talking to the folks that are not hungry and not eating lunch or have already eaten, and all the folks back home looking into that camera in the back, and the folks in the lunchroom, I suppose. Well, maybe we can start off with just a quick introduction, rundown of yourself and Lido.
Yeah, I'm Azat. I'm a core contributor at Lido. Well, you may have heard of Lido. We are in the LST market. We're like the leading liquid staking solution for Ethereum. We have about 15 billion in TVL. Yeah, we are very excited to be here because security is paramount to everything we do at Lido. So, yeah.
That's great. Maybe we can explain just a little bit to folks who may not be familiar what liquid staking derivatives are.
Yeah, liquid staking is like it's like a protocol layer over native Ethereum staking. So anyone who has like not everyone can go into staking. Like you have to have 32 ETH, right? You have to maintain your own hardware. Not everyone wants to do that. So we offer like a small layer that we can like delegate your ETH, whatever that may be, like 1 ETH, 1/2 ETH, to other node operators. So you don't have to manage your own hardware. Yeah.
Got it. Making it easier for all of us to be stakers.
Yeah. Making it easy. Yeah.
I'm a huge user of Lido myself. So.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we can jump into the question I'm throwing at everybody. What made you guys decide to be sponsors for the DeFi Security Summit?
Yeah, well, Lido stands on the shoulders of Ethereum and DeFi. So we thought this is going to be a great opportunity to give back to the community. And like Lido understands its role and the responsibility as like a big player in DeFi. So Lido wants to share their best practices, share their knowledge, how we take security very seriously at Lido. So I think it's a great opportunity to share our knowledge here. Yeah.
And great opportunity to dig into just like what that means, right? Because I think the perspective from Lido could be very different, right? From the perspective of Trail of Bits or Sigma Prime, who I've interviewed, so far. So what does it mean to really think about and focus on security from a protocol development standpoint, day one or, day N?
Yeah. I'm a technical guy, so I can talk from that perspective. So we have like a whole process, starting from the the design, like the documents, the spec, the ADR, what we call it, like the Lido improvement proposal. We publish all these documents on our forums. Then we go through several rounds of reviews, like internal reviews, and also we publish this on forums and gather feedback on the design. And once that's settled, we go into the implementation, the actual code. We write the code, then we do another round of reviews, like cross-team reviews, like not only developers participate in these reviews, but analytics too as well. So yeah. Then we submit our code to external audits. We gather their feedback, we gather their findings, and work on them, and resubmit our code base for an re-audit. So once that's done, we can deploy our contract. Yeah. Like the deploy process is also very strict. We gather like a deploy party, what we call it. It's like a 3-hour Zoom call. We gather as much people as we can. We have like a first pilot, the person who was developing the contracts, and the second pilot, the person who's going to be running all the running the transaction. Yeah. So we, again, on this call, we review the entire test suite, the scripts, the smart contract code. If everything is okay, we run the transaction, deploy the code on mainnet, and we verify that once again through like different like internal tooling, like we diff the smart contract code from Etherscan to GitHub. Yeah. We even verify the bytecode as well. Yeah. So once that's approved, we submit our like address, the contract address, to our auditors, so that they can put that address into the PDF, and we can publish the audit, yeah, in our like audit repo, so it's publicly available. Yeah. That's like the entire like deploy process of a smart contract.
That's a long process.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's not just write smart contract,
Yeah.
get audited,
Yeah.
deploy.
It's a lot of work outside the code, the actual code, yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. No, very interesting. And the last question I'll throw your way is, what do you think will be the most important developments for DeFi security that will happen or that will take place in the next year or so?
I think we will see that we will already see that the space is getting more mature. Like the users don't jump at every like a DeFi opportunity. Like they don't jump at every like 10%, 20% API. They have to they make their due diligence. They do their diligence, and we will. That's why we will see like more projects prioritizing security, and so we will see the security space more competitive. Among like some of the trends, I would say that formal verification is going to be like big, and also we would like to see like the off-chain security get a little more attention, like front ends, off-chain tooling, like bots. We would like to I think there's some room for improvement in terms of like security of those off-chain things. So we would likely to see some advancements in that area.
Very interesting. I think we're going to talk a little bit about formal verification next. So
Yeah, okay.
Thank you so much for your time and for joining me on the stage.
Thank you, thank you.
And next, I believe we have Mudit from Polygon joining us. How you doing, sir? Doing great. I guess I just did a little bit of introduction, but maybe we could, I could turn it over to you to start off with just, telling the folks here in person, but also the folks back home listening and paying attention to the stream. An introduction of yourself, your organization, and what you do.
Oh, sure. So I'm Mudit. I lead security and smart contracts at Polygon. Polygon is a layer 2 scaling solution, which is working on scaling Ethereum blockchain. We are building layer 2 rollups using the zero knowledge technology and proof of stake / Validium.
Thank you so much. Could probably dig way more into that, but explaining everything about Polygon would be a big task and won't fit into a 7-minute interview. So I'll jump right into, how did you get involved with DeFi Security Summit? What pushed you and the organization to be a gold sponsor?
Yeah, for sure. So I was there in the last year's conference at Stanford, and it was just such nice. Like it was, the signal to noise ratio here is so great. It's just like all technical folks, very few of those like marketing folks.
A couple non-technical. Yeah,
I mean, nothing against anyone, but yeah, like as long as it's like constructive talks, it's fine. But if people just keep selling their things, then it gets boring. And if you look at the like agenda here for the day for the conference, you won't find a single talk which is like selling a product. They're all technical, detailed talks, and that's why like we wanted to support this. And from like I pushed for it, Polygon saw the opportunity here, and we decided to sponsor.
Well, thank you for that, and couldn't agree more. And one of my favorite signal-to-noise ratio conferences that I've been to over the last couple of years, last year and this year so far. And it's interesting to get your perspective because you're the only layer or scalability protocol that we have, on this interview session, right? And that is a gold sponsor. So, from a large protocol's perspective, what are the most important security considerations to you? I'll ask about the large protocol perspective, but then also just a large organization perspective.
Yeah, for sure. So both for large protocol and large organization perspective, there are like two broad areas for security. One is like the organizational bit, which is basically your IT security, like phishing awareness training for everyone, key management training, and things like that. So that's a very big chunk. And the other chunk is actual like technology security. So AppSec security, making sure the product you are building is technologically sound and secure. And that we do by like audits, internal audits, bug bounties, and things like that.
What type of intersection is there between what some would traditionally call Web 2 cybersecurity and Web 3 cybersecurity as it exists in your organization?
Yeah, for sure. So Web3 cybersecurity is actually just a superset of Web2. So what you have to do in Web2, everything you have to do in Web3 still, and more. Some protocols forget this and like they forget the basics. They forget to do their key management practices and things like that, and then get wrecked. But Web3 actually, you can't forget the Web2 parts. You have to do them. And Web3 security, the specific bits also translate very nicely. Like in Web2, you have to keep your password secure, for example, from a user's perspective. In Web3, the same knowledge translates into keeping your mnemonic safe. So instead of like trying to teach everyone, hey, mnemonic, keep it safe, like we could just tell them, hey, mnemonic equals to password. Then it automatically hits like, yeah, they have to keep it safe.
Very interesting, very interesting. And what is a skill? How many folks are on the security team at Polygon? Is it?
Yeah, we are about 15 people.
Got it. And what does that organization look like? Because I imagine, and well, I know, very few organizations in Web3 have a security team that big or that scaled. So, what does that look like?
Yeah, for sure. Like Polygon, security is a main focus, and you can see by like it's very visible. We are the only ones like sponsoring at events like this. We have by far the biggest security team in terms of protocols. Half of our team is focused towards organizational security. So making sure like our users are educated, key management practices, our Discord, Telegram, Twitter are secure, all of those things, IT security and things like that. And the other half is working on just regular Web3 AppSec security. So they make sure like the software we are writing is following the best practices and is secure.
Wow, so this marriage of Web 2 and Web 3 security just keeps running through it, which I think is one of the most important things personally, right? And kind of like maturing the Web 3 stack altogether is consideration all around. Really interesting. Thank you for the insights. And what do you think is the most important security consideration, or will be the most important security consideration for the next year?
That's a very interesting question. In the next year, I honestly feel like we need to focus a little more on the Web 2 side of security because that's something which is being attacked quite heavily by big actors, like big state-sponsored actors. The thing is, like, they are expert. Like, if we talk about DPRK and actors like these, they are expert in exploiting Web 2 vulnerabilities, but they are still very, very, very new in Web 3. So the Web 3 exploits are obviously like you need to be secure from Web 3 perspective as well. But there are more people attacking Web 2 than Web 3 right now. So you gotta focus on that accordingly.
Absolutely, super interesting. I think that's time. Udit, thank you so much for joining me on stage, and great to meet you.
Thanks for having me.
All right, we have our next interviewee coming up to the stage right now. I'll stay standing. Hello, sir. Curtis, great to meet you. All right, well, maybe we could just start off with an introduction to, so I've been saying this. We're not only talking to the folks that, forewent their lunch to listen to these interviews, but also the folks in the food room downstairs that are looking at the live stream, and also all the folks at home that weren't able to make it to DeFi Security Summit. So maybe you could start off just by introducing yourself, telling us a little bit about who you are, what you do, the firm that you're representing today.
Yeah, I'm Curtis Spencer. I'm the co-founder of Electric Capital. I think we're the fund on the sponsors list. We're a crypto-focused venture firm, been operating since 2018. We're a little bit different from a traditional venture firm. We're more engineer-led, so we write a lot of code, do a lot of open source projects. I think it's interesting when you look at people coming into the crypto space. A fund that has an engineering team is kind of an interesting gateway drug. It lets people come into the space from a different vantage point from joining a protocol directly, and then get to see how a lot of different protocols are built. We also do a lot of data-driven reports. So maybe some of you have seen things like the developer report. We index all of GitHub, looking for developer trends, et cetera.
Love reading the developer report.
Oh, thanks, man.
By the way. Great. Well, thank you for that introduction and overview of Electric. Super interesting. And how did you and Electric get involved with DeFi Security Summit? Why did you choose to be a sponsor of DeFi Security Summit?
Yeah, it's a good question. So we've been investing across the security landscape a decent amount, so Certora, MuneFi, and I remember discussing with Muli back, before the DSS existed, hey, this would be great if we had a purpose-built conference where it was really just talking about security. Because when you look at the rest of the conference circuit landscape, we think NFTs get a lot of coverage, cryptography has decent coverage, MEV, consensus layers, all of this stuff had a venue, but security did not have a purpose-built conference, and we thought that needed to change. It's sort of like the last bastion. It's probably the hardest thing, and it was kind of weird that there wasn't a dedicated conference for it. So we did it along Stanford Blockchain last time, and the feedback was great, and so just want to extend it, take it worldwide.
So cool. So I came from investing in Web2 security, and there's RSA, there's a million security conferences, but when I joined CoinFund, nothing, specific to security, 2 years ago. But now we have DSS, we have, Securitum, or TrustX, Securium's conference, which is really cool, and I think a few more. So thank you for making that happen with Muli. So these are a couple questions that came up on my own, but what do you see as, because you're the only investor we have on this circuit of our group of interviewers or interviewees, what do you see as the largest opportunities in security investing today, the largest unsolved problems in Web3 security?
Yeah, first off, I agree with Mudit that Web 2 security is still a huge problem, and the intersection of Web 2 and Web 3, sort of front ends getting hacked, we think there's a lot of opportunity there. So building special purpose firewalls or special purpose security to secure DeFi at the edges. I think that's a very interesting opportunity set. I think one thing is just DeFi education in general. No offense to anyone in this room, but I think DeFi security folks tend to be kind of wizards. It's a dark art that they are protecting. And I think we need to flip that to be more hey, this is a normal thing. Every engineer in the world should learn this stuff. Kind of like writing a React app. That's pretty easy to do now. So I think we need to increase the tooling support. So I think things like formal verification, demystifying that is a huge opportunity set. Fuzz testing, all these things that traditional engineers sort of have gotten there with unit testing. I think we need to make it really easy to use for all DeFi engineers.
Really interesting. And this might be an extension or a follow-on to that question, but if that's what's needed, what gets you most excited? What gets your gears turning in the security space?
Tooling just improving across the board. You compare writing a smart contract in 2017 to now, it's just so much easier, right? So that's exciting, just seeing that trend line. More and more people are writing code. That's always great to see. I I think the education set, like we're seeing like pretty great YouTube series now, like on how to write smart contracts. I think we just need to amplify that by 10x. Sort of like you see with like traditional JavaScript, right? Like there's thousands of tutorials out there, and I think we just need to increase it. And then I think the last thing is just standardization. Like there's no real like place to see, hey, this contract has these audits at this timestamp. It's still kind of a lost skill to like go and figure out like which audit applied to which version. And so I think it scares both like institutional investors and consumers away because they're like, well, like how secure is this contract? I have no way of knowing.
What do you think about, kind of like defensive security, which I like to call kind of like the monitoring side of things, everything that like doesn't, I guess, is post-deployment security.
Yeah, I think this is going to get very exciting, especially with AI, because you can like scale the monitoring up, and AI is not going to be perfect, but if you have eyes on something all the time, and I'm excited about the AI panel later, just to go into this more, because
You're leading that, right?
I am, yeah.
Fantastic.
So, I think monitoring in general, the challenge with it is if it has too many like false positives, people start to ignore it, and that's the risk with any of these monitoring systems. And so just you have to be really good such that everyone, if they get a notification from the monitoring system, it's really like important to look into, because if people ignore that push notification because they get too many of them, then it's like kind of a useless tool.
Yeah, totally. Well, thank you so much. I think we're just about at time. Chris, really appreciate your time and being able to share your insights with the rest of the group here.
Thank you for the good questions.
Absolutely. All right. I think we're down to our last interviewee here, and I'm super excited to interview Sophia from Certora, but I'll let her introduce herself as well. How's it going?
Okay, how are you?
Doing well. Thank you for joining me.
This one?
One of them.
Hello. Yeah,
That's it.
definitely this one.
Great. Well, I think you've heard the spiel, but we're not only talking to the folks here in the room, but also through that camera to the folks in the food room and all the people that are tuning in from home.
Right.
So again, thank you for joining me on stage, Sophia. And
Inviting me.
maybe we can just start off with an introduction of yourself, what you do, Certora, what you guys do, and we'll take it from there.
So I'm Sophie. I'm BD, doing BD at Certora. Joined last year. Previously, I've been working for Open Zeppelin, another auditing company. So I've been in the smart contract security space for quite some time now. Certora is a leading security provider. So yeah, we're securing the protocols code.
Fantastic.
Helping.
Fantastic. And I think, Certora, you guys were the initial sponsor of DSS, right?
Yes.
Fantastic. So you guys are kind of the creators, if you
Yes,
will,
I
along
would say
with
that.
Curtis and Electric Capital, right?
Yeah, but we are all together in this. So
Absolutely.
thank you for all the other sponsors that helped this happen.
Cool. And what brought DSS to be? I guess it's a little bit different than the why you a sponsor question, but
I mean, as I was saying, we are a security company. We work with top DeFi protocols, so it makes a lot of sense for us to be doing this, organizing this. This is a great opportunity to talk to the protocols that they care about security, understand their pain points, their concerns, and of course, like trying to figure out like how to help them. And also, you have all these amazing auditing firms, security firms that some of them they use our technology. So this is a great time and space to share our knowledge, but also get feedback, learn from each other, and yeah. And last but not least, also to engage with security researchers that are freelancing out there that are also amazing. We give them the tool that we develop when they participate in these audit contest platforms. So we want them to get rewarded for that. So also it's a great opportunity to talk to them.
Totally. And you touched on it, but maybe we could just dig deeper on it just to make it clear. Who exactly uses Certora's tools from, you mentioned researchers, but what's the whole gambit? Who do you sell to?
So we developed this technology, for the ones that don't know, like to apply formal verification to smart contracts. I would say everyone can use it, from like auditing firms that they want to provide these services, the security researchers that are freelancing, as I was saying, and the protocols. Like this, the prover, like can be used from like different from an audit. It doesn't come at the end. You can start writing your rules from the beginning when you start writing your code. So definitely something that is interesting for the protocols.
Got it. And I think our sponsor from Lido also mentioned
Yes.
formal verification
Yes.
and his excitement towards informal verification. Maybe you can talk a little bit more about why formal verification is different, why it's important,
Yeah.
why it needs to be used and considered when securing smart contracts.
So as everyone knows, nothing is bulletproof, so you have to do like as much as you can, or you can afford, like in terms of money, but also time to make your code secure. Formal verification is, or at least like the tool we develop, it's, as I was saying, it's really good because you can start from the beginning, and also you can integrate it with your CI. So every code change you make, it runs automatically. So we've seen like so many hacks after like small changes. So you can see it as a fast automated audit. Definitely you should do more stuff. But yeah, that's good about formal verification. And also not only, it's really important to find bugs, but also like proving these properties. That's part of like formal verification. That's
Got it. And why is formal verification so important in Web3, where we're securing these assets, as opposed to maybe, some of the security practices used in Web2 software development?
So formal verification is pretty complex. I think it makes total sense for like blockchain because it's not that long, the code, but it holds a lot of money. So definitely you want to prove mathematically that these properties hold and this like the code behaves as intended. So.
Got it. Very insightful. And last question, what are you most excited about? What do you think is going to be the most impactful DeFi security development in the next year?
That's a good question. I would say like with the DeFi smart contracts getting more and more complex, I think the security efforts will have to become more holistic. So I don't think there's going to be like a new thing that is going to deprecate all the other stuff or tools. I think the next like DeFi successful protocol will have to manual reviews, testing, fuzzing, formal verification. Yeah.
Totally. I think we have a theme.
Economic risk assessment as well.
100%. It's a layered approach, holistic security, merger of Web 2, Web 3. You've heard it all today with all the interviews.
Yeah.
Well, that's our time. Sophie, thank you so much. Really appreciate you joining me on stage.
No, thanks for inviting me.
And thank you for being a sponsor of DeFi Security Summit.
You're welcome. Happy to be here.
And everyone, I think that concludes our interviews of all of our gold sponsors for DeFi Security Summit. So thank you for having me. Isaiah, I'm investor and researcher at CoinFund, and hope to meet you all and see you all throughout the conference.